Guys, so welcome back to Lex Reads. So in today's video, I actually want to talk about short stories. Now, I got into short stories about, I want to say 2 years ago, and at one point I did not like them because I always felt like there was no closure. But then I realized, well, it's a short story, it's not a novel. So of course it's, it's in the name, short stories. So once I got, that into my mind, I really started, to give them, a chance and a read, and discovered that I actually really do like them. So I wanted to share 6 that I have read and 6 that I haven't read. And yeah, so let's get started. So the first one is Crit Crat by Edwidge Danticat. Now, I adore Edwidge Danticat. I read her whole fictional catalog last year and was just amazed. And this short story collection, oh, what can I say? So my favorite, I would say, out of this collection is, I like the first one, Children of the Sea, and I love Caroline's Wedding. And it's 9 short stories, and Edwidge is a Haitian writer, so she, really talks about, their experience and just the way that they navigate in the world, the way that they think, their customs, their ideologies, all of that. And she just does it so well. And after I read her first short story collection, she actually came out with another one a couple years ago. I want to say maybe 2 years ago. And it is Everything Inside. And this one was just as good as Crit Crat. One of the stories in here, that I just really, really loved, it talks about Alzheimer's, and it talks about the denial of family members, talks about the denial of family members knowing that they have a family member that has Alzheimer's. And that story kept me on my toes because there was one particular scene where, the woman that does have Alzheimer's, she was holding her grandchild, and she always thought her grandchild was like a doll. So there was, I don't want to give it away, but she's thinking her grandchild is a doll. And I was like, my heart was beating so fast when I was reading, because I'm like, oh Lord, no, no, no. But at which, she turned it around. It was just such a beautiful story. But she talks about that. She also talks about immigration and a different light. And I just really appreciate her writing. She's just, again, a phenomenal writer. Next is Going to Meet the Man. This is by James Baldwin. This collection is phenomenal. I mean, everything James Baldwin writes is just great. I always say that, people know James Baldwin for his nonfiction, but he's a really good fiction writer. And he's another one that knows how to tell, that story and just grips you. In this collection, it deals with race, it deals with gender, it deals with, what else? Race, gender, sexuality. He's going to throw in some religious aspects. One of the stories that I really liked, his main protagonist was a female. If you have read James Baldwin's works, a lot of his protagonists are male. But in this particular story, it was a woman, and the way he wrote her was just so seamlessly, just so seamless. It was like, I always say that sometimes I don't like when men write female characters, because sometimes they get it wrong. But in his case, he did not get it wrong. It was all the way there, and I really did appreciate that. So yeah, come on now, it's James Baldwin. Next is A Thing Around Your Neck by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. Now, this probably was the first short story collection I read on my own. Also, it was the first short story collection I read by an African writer. With Chimamanda, you already know she's gonna deal with feminists. She's gonna deal with race. Obviously, all the stories are set in Nigeria, and Chimamanda is one of my favorite authors. The way she writes is just, it's like, how do you write like that? I mean, she knows how to tell a story. And I always say that, with African writers and African novelists, they're really good storytellers. They know how to capture a story and tell it in such detail where you just have to continue to read it. You can't stop reading it. And she's in that category. I thoroughly enjoyed this collection of short stories. Next is Langston Hughes' The Way of the White Folks. I recently read this and was just flabbergasted. This was the first time I read a Langston Hughes short stories or like novel, because I've only read his poetry, and his poetry is phenomenal. But this collection, oh my goodness, it's ahead of its time. This deals with passing, it deals with gender, it deals with sexuality. One thing that he talked about abortion, but he did it in a clever way. And he also talks about it would be classified, or it would be diagnosed today as AIDS or HIV. It was one story about a man that was kind of real loose, had a lot of women, and he was just continued to get sick, and he had a cold that he couldn't get rid of. He had all the symptoms of, HIV or AIDS, and he didn't know what was wrong with him. And when you read it, I'm like, this sounds very familiar. And when I started to research the story and I saw the theme, and I said, I knew it. And I just was like, my mouth was open, because I'm like, my goodness, that wasn't even discovered yet. And he just, this collection is ahead of its time. And the fact that he wrote about, such topics as abortion, that was taboo, 1920s, 1930s, you just didn't write about that, talk about that, even though it was happening. But that was something that, turned your head. And the fact that he was so bold enough to write about that, I mean, just brilliant. That this is probably my favorite short story collection, and it's going to be a reread, because I just can't get over I really cannot get over this collection. And lastly, which I've talked about in a previous video, is Homemade Love by J. California Cooper. You guys know I love J. California Cooper. Her dialogue is just, it's amazing. She writes, her dialogue is so realistic that you've heard it before, especially if you are a Black person, especially if you're a Black woman. You've heard these conversations, those sayings, just everything, and I absolutely adore it. My favorite story out of this collection is My Funny Valentine, which was turned into a movie in 1999 by BET, and also is it Without Love? I love that short story collection too. Yeah, I can talk about J. California Cooper like all day. So yeah. Now, those are the ones that I have read. Now, the next 6 I have not read, and of course, I am going to read them in the future. So, the first one is On Girlhood by Glory Edom. Now, you guys know she has that wonderful blog and Instagram of Well-Read Black Girl. I love Glory and just everything that she does. I bought her anthology and read it last year, and just, oh my goodness, just I love her. You see, I can't even talk. But this collection I was really excited about, because she has short stories by some heavy hitters. She has stories by Jamaica Kincaid, Dorothy West, Ruby Dove, Toni K. Bambara, and Toni Morrison. I was really excited because she has Toni Morrison's short story Recitative, and I have not read that, and I really want to read it. So when I saw, like, these women that she had in this collection, I had to grab it. So again, I'm so excited to read this, and I love the cover, that light pink and that gold. So pretty. Next, which I'm currently reading, is Alice Walker, You Cannot Keep a Woman Down. And the main themes in this book is race, gender, sexuality. She talks about rape. The first story that I read, because I said I'm currently reading it, she came out with a bang. She's talking about the short story is inspired by Elvis Presley. And you guys know that Elvis Presley stole all our music. He stole music from Little Richard, Chuck Berry, but I didn't know that he stole a lot of music and song writing from Black women, and they didn't get their praise. And he stole that music from them. And the first story, which is called 1959, 1955, is inspired by that. So, like I said, she came out with a bang. And I mean, Alice Walker can write like nobody's business. I mean, it's Alice Walker. Come on. Next is Walter Dean Myers, What They Found, Love on 145th Street. Now, I actually got this at the dollar store, and I was like so excited because when I saw Walter Dean Myers, I mean, if you read YA and children's novels, you know Walter Dean Myers is like a GOAT. He can just write that. But this story, they have so many good, themes and stories. So it's one story that deals with a teenage mother, another story that deals with a Black man that is fighting in Iraq and he doesn't want to be there. It's another story that deals with a beauty supply store called Curly Q, and that's where everyone goes to get the gossip. So when I was reading the synopsis, I was so excited to get this. Yeah, I can't wait to read this. Next is Ernest J. Gaines' Bloodline. These are 5 stories. Now, if you read anything about Ernest J. Gaines, he talks about Black men and the injustice of Black men. Also, he talks about the main theme is jail, prison. Also, he always sets a story in Louisiana, and Louisiana is the highest prison rate ever in America. And he gets in the mind of a Black man, and you will just be taken on a roller coaster ride that you have never been on, because he makes you feel like you are a Black man in society that just does not treat you with any respect. Just everything that's horrible that goes on with being a Black man, he captures it in a way that is just, I mean, it's, see, I can't even, it's complex, but it's necessary. He does make you angry, but it's what it is. And I love that about Ernest J. Gaines. Yeah, let's move on. Next is Great Short Stories by African American Writers. Now, I love this because this is an anthology, and you guys know I love anthologies. And this anthology obviously deals with short stories. So this collection has stories by Jean Toomer, Ralph Ellison, Langston Hughes, Paul Laurence Dunbar, Charles W. Chestnut, who else? Alice Walker, Zora Neale Hurston, so many. So when I saw that list, I had to, get it because those are some heavy hitters. And it also had a lot of authors from the Harlem Renaissance, and you guys know that is like, that's my jam right now. So when I saw that, I'm like, yeah, I got to pick it up. Next is by a Harlem Renaissance author. It's called Tropic Death by Eric Walden. Now, this is the only book that he has that has been published by him. Also, he is Caribbean. So when I saw this, of course I wanted to get it because Harlem Renaissance, and the fact that this is a book that not a lot of people know. You guys know that's up my alley. Love hidden gems. So I am really, really excited to, dig into this because anything from Harlem Renaissance is just golden to me. And lastly is Rosie's Curl and Weave. Now these have stories by Donna Hill, Frances Ray, Felicia Mason, Rochelle Allers. And when I saw this, first of all, that cover, look at this cover. Oh my goodness. And then when I saw the title, I was like, okay, because if you know anything about being in a Black beauty shop, you get the tea. Every customer that, comes in, you're going to know something about them. So when I saw that title, I'm like, oh yes, I have to snatch it up. And these are some heavy hitters when it comes to, Black literature. And oh my goodness, I'm I'm so excited to read this. So yeah, guys, that's all I have for these short stories by Black authors. If you guys have read any short stories, please tell me, because I really want to read more and get into them more, since now I am open to reading them. And yeah, that's all I have for you. So I'll be back with more Black books. Bye.